opening night of Inside the Harvest. I'm your host, Drew, alongside my co-host, Harold, and my two analysts, Dylan and Hector. And before we start, I just want to make a public apology to Jake. Jake, I was not familiar with your game. I told you to start T. Higgins over Xavier Worthy, and you made me eat my own words, and I owe you a public apology for that. But on that note, let's talk about last night's game. Dylan, who do you think were the biggest winners and losers of last night?
Biggest winners, Jake. Sitting T. Higgins because he was a limited participant on the same day, and now you have Xavier Worthy
dropping 20 points. That is move of the week.
How do you feel about
it? The man had 2 touches. He had 2 receptions. One of them just happened to be a touchdown, and he had a rushing touchdown. I'm not scared. Look, Xavier Worthy the rest of the season, I'm going to have my doubts. He might be a high-volume touch play.
I didn't like how many points he got based on how many receptions it was. It was low volume, and he might have just got lucky with it. So we'll see how that goes for the rest of the weeks. But it's promise. It's promise, Drew. He showed potential there. He showed a little Debo Samuel.
I'm not going to lie. Jake took a playbook out of my draft, and you draft guys in the late rounds, in the 7-8 rounds, and you make them play important positions in the flex spot. I like that. I like that.
It's a good move. Good move.
Another big winner is going to be Drew. Maybe he reached on Patrick Mahomes. Maybe he didn't. But one thing for sure, Rashee Rice is one wide receiver one.
He is wide receiver one. He gets the targets, he gets the volume, and he catches the passes, bro. He's looking good, Drew. Good pick on that one right there.
I think, you know what, I was drunk out of my mind when I picked it. Hector, who do you think was the biggest losers of last night?
He did not start Isaiah Likely. That is one of the biggest issues. Now, let's remember last season. Yes, Mark Andrews is still tight end 1 on paper, but Isaiah Likely still had big boom plays all year long.
I think that's ridiculous. He's a waiver player. He's a waiver player. He picked him up last night before the game.
Good, I'll tell you this right now. Some of the biggest winners we could say that is still Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson still obviously looks slimmer, look faster, running. However, with the use of Derrick Henry, who I have, he didn't do well. I think it's still very important the fact that he is still going to be ending as a top 5 fantasy quarterback this season. There is no doubt in my mind that Lamar Jackson will end up in the top 5. But another big winner, I'm going to agree with Dylan over here, I think Drew is another big winner. Even though Rashee Rice unfortunately drove into the back of a car at 120 miles an hour, he still is undisputedly wide receiver 1, and his trial doesn't start until 2025, which means that Drew dodged the bullet on a potential suspension. And Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. It's simple. It's said. It's all said.
No, he didn't look that great.
My next big loser, Ethan.
Oh, Ethan.
I might have a little bit of bias because he panicked and he gave me Mark Andrews pennies on the dollar.
That trade is iffy.
You guys will see week 3.
I'll see in week 10.
All right. If Mark Andrews continues this trajectory, buddy, you lose that trade. If Bowers is the top prospect that he is, and he becomes the number 2 option, even the number 1 ahead of Adams, you screwed up. You screwed up.
No. Let's talk about that right now. Did Ethan panic on Mark Andrews? Let's talk about that right now.
I think he panicked. But I don't think it's unreasonable. Okay, because if you look at how they played their snaps, Mark Andrews and Likely played almost the same amount of snaps.
I was going to bring that up.
So they love Isaiah Likely. They love to put him in the game. And obviously Lamar Jackson loves him, man. Yeah. More targets to him. He was making the better plays. He looked good.
I want to take a step back before we go on to if Ethan, lost his mind over Mark Andrews. I do agree. I can see with you guys. I completely agree on that end. But I think another big loser of that night is Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce was not used at all, considering that he has been one of the best tight ends, if not undisputed tight end 1 for the last 6 or 7 years in this league. Now, Travis Kelce only put up 6 points. I get it, it's week 1, but he is aging. He's getting older. There's more offensive weapons now. You got Xavier Worthy. You got Rashee Rice now for the whole season. There's a lot of big things that are coming into mind, and I think that Travis Kelce's overall target share is going to drop.
And I'm going to piggyback off what Hector said right there. Don't get me wrong, Kelce's Kelce. But, he's getting up there in age. And I think the Chiefs, as they try to go for this 3-peat title, they're going to start slowing down Kelce more.
They might just save him for those playoff games where he can really show his talent.
Maybe down the line for Jake, I think Jake, I can see a guy like Jake maybe trading for a guy like Xavier Worthy or flushing a tight end on the market. But overall, I think Jake Strucker's team has more to worry about than Travis Kelce. It's week 1, you know. For my sake, for Ethan, he traded Mark Andrews 20 minutes after the game was over. I've never seen that.
I've never seen that shit before in my life.
I've never seen that shit before in my life. You know, reports came in that Ethan said that he didn't really believe in Mark Andrews to begin with on the season, so he traded him after with it.
It's a blatant lie.
Well, to me, is I can't believe that. If that's coming out of his camp, saying that he wasn't high on Andrews in the season, but he was there at the turn at the 4-5 turn.
Yeah, that doesn't
where
make
he's
sense.
supposed to be going at the 4-5 turn. You know, he saw that he had Lamar. He's like, well, I'm going to take Andrews. Well, and then he panicked, saw that likely is going to go into that work. But to me, you look at the Ravens. Who is their other wide receiver? Outside of Zay Sunflower Seeds, who do they have?
They didn't have numbers.
Rashawn Bateman! I think that Andrews and likely will just be a two-head back. What you have to look at is that they asked Andrews to block in that game. Andrews blocked. He did his job. But they were running double tight ends, and that was the thing. If they were running single-set tight ends and likely was going out there, then I would be worried. But I am going to panic on Andrews because I don't think he will be that tight end 2 that most people think he is. Right. But I think he'll take a step back, but I don't think step back more where you trade him. You know,
he's still talented. He still got he still has, you know, the talent to get that work, you know, working, get the receptions. Absolutely. It just might be like, you know, this game he might block, this game he might, you know, go off. So it's just a little bit more riskier.
But I think most importantly, it's week 1.
It's week 1. You never know.
And Brock Bowers is also a blocking tight end, might I add.
True. But he's also Michael Mayer. You know, he's in a double tight end set with Mayer.
Exactly.
So
they're the same players.
So
I think that's crazy.
Now listen, we gotta talk about one thing that is kind of it's a little bit of an elephant in the room, at least with the Ravens. The Ravens did make a blockbuster move for Derrick Henry. You know, I think it is. Yes, he is on my team, but I think what is kind of concerning is that even when the Ravens had a close score between 3 points, maybe even down a touchdown, they did not use Derrick Henry apart from that first drive. Yeah, they barely used him. Realistically speaking, Derrick Henry got a lot of volume in Tennessee, and that's the reason why he's known as a fantasy monster. He can get into the end zone. He's a big back. He's not gonna, you know, just go down easily, and he can catch the ball too sometimes when needed. I think the way that Baltimore is using him, I think if they don't use him right, I think it could be a fantasy bust.
I think the issue is Lamar is also a very selfish QB.
Yeah, but the main thing is, I'd say, like, when you go from AFC South D lines, you know, there's just guys like DeForest Buckner, and then you go to the AFC, you know, the AFC North, right, where you play against, you know, Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett. You're gonna see these other AFC big contenders like Chris Jones,
hyping up your own
George Karlaftis. Like, it's a good D line at the end of the day,
right?
So I mean, if when they play like, I forgot about TJ Watt. Like, there's a lot of these good D linemen that he's gonna run into.
Oh, so yeah,
that's also very concerning.
But you're also taking into consideration the fact that Baltimore has consistently had a top 5 O-line in this league. For them to look this poor against a rival in their division, that just spells terrible things coming up in the future. If they couldn't block Chris Jones, well, Cincinnati's D-line is going to be healthy this season. The Steelers are going to be perfectly healthy this season right now. As time goes on, that is a concern for a historically top 5 O-line. And if they can't get that O-line fixed, Henry is not going to get touches. He's not going to get these massive, you know, monster fantasy games that we're going to have, and we could be seeing a potential bust already.
Well, I don't know. I think you're overreacting.
It's just week 1.
I think with Henry though is that that's just going to be his value. That might just be his value all season. It might be if you get a touchdown.
You put it in Henry.
He's going to get 12, 13. He doesn't give you a touchdown. What is he offering you? He lost all the receiving work to Justice Hill. He didn't look down like a 3-down back. No. So there is concern for Derrick Henry. You know, I would say probably out of everyone after that whole game, I would panic on Henry the most, more than Andrews.
I would too. But I don't think he's already the biggest bust. I think you know. Let's see how it plays out.
I think it's shaping up to be a potential semi-bust because still.
Why'd you draft him then?
13.
Oh, he drafted him at like a 15 pick. He drafted him as RB6.
Points is still reliable, but you're expecting more out of a career running back.
For sure.
Now let's kind of segue into another moment. Let's talk about the game that's going on right now. Philadelphia.
Because Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley are putting up 60 against you, by the way.
I want to hear you guys right now, your reaction. What are you guys' initial reactions as the game is progressing? What do you guys see from Green Bay? What do you guys see from Philadelphia?
Right now, I'm not gonna lie. Matt is looking like the number one team right now with that stat. And with people, while we're recording this, Josh Jacobs had a total of 4 yards in the first half. He now has put up 76 in the second half alone.
It's a good comeback.
I think he was good when I drafted him in the third round. He's put up more points than.
You said he struck in the parking lot.
You were rushing him earlier.
Don't lie to them. Don't lie to them.
Okay.
Don't lie to them. We all know what you said in the parking lot. Don't lie to them.
That was 2 minutes ago, right? But let's look. He's outscoring the guy that was drafted at RB6, Derrick Henry. All right, at the end of the day.
You don't get to talk about Derrick Henry.
I can
talk about
Another big winner I say is Drew again with Jaden Reed. Unfortunately on the bench, but man is he looking good right now.
We have 2 leagues for a reason. We have the Dynasty League with double flex for a reason. That's why as my next year's commissioner, I'm doing double flex next year.
We're talking about a super flex, please. I'm down with a super flex.
We gotta talk about this, man. Christian Watson was supposed to be wide receiver 1 these last 2 years back to back. He does not look good.
I think it should have been inevitable last year that he wasn't going to be potentially wide receiver 1. He was mostly injured. And when he did play, he didn't really do anything.
That's true.
I think there's just too many options in that Green Bay wide receiver room.
Well, I'm gonna say that too. I think Ethan's a lot loser on that too because he needs Watson to put up crucial value.
He needs to do what Jaden Reed is doing. I didn't know touchdowns.
He needs Watson to put up crucial value. Yeah, he got his touchdown, but he got bailed on the touchdown by the penalty, and he hasn't 3-4 catches. Take that touchdown away.
You don't have any. Not much.
As the projections going on, I do have Romeo Doubs on the team. I do think that Romeo Doubs is still going to be that boom or bust object. Whether he's going to be just getting touchdowns, hunting him down, regardless, if he doesn't get a touchdown, he's not worth anything.
Well, I feel like
I think right now, I think Dobbs is 4 on the chart. Because they also have Wicks. They're playing Wicks right now.
I don't think they have no true wide receiver.
They don't have
but Watson was used in this role where he did not need touchdowns to be viable, and he needs touchdowns now in order for you to even.
It's not a good look.
It's not a good look, and he's playing a crucial role in Ethan's team because then Ethan can go. I mean, you have Javonte and Jerome Ford, but running back in the flexes.
I hate that.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Especially it being Jerome Ford and Javonte Williams.
That's who you're banking on your flex.
Now let's switch over to the Philadelphia side. I think that overall, yes, I am taking it in the ass by the fucking Phillies side.
You're not taking
it. Hey, it's in your ass, bro. It is deep in there. It already finished, bro.
You're taking it like a good little boy.
You've been over. You opened your cheeks, bro.
That's the aftercare mode right now.
There's 3 questions that are still kind of iffy. Yes, Jalen Hurts is still, quote-unquote, a good fantasy quarterback. Obviously, he gives you rushing upside. Obviously, he can throw very good. He is very precise at times. But let's talk about this one thing. He has already had 2 interceptions this game. Against a subpar Green Bay defense.
It's not that bad. They definitely made it better this year.
Okay, but you look at the defense.
I get it. It's not the best defense.
Look at the schedule that Philadelphia has. That is not a considerable tough defensive opponent to face. And if Jalen Hurts is already throwing the ball to the other team already on week 1 this consistently, I think it is an issue that we can think about. Now let's talk about Saquon Barkley. He's a machine, dude. He looks like a machine already.
Yeah, I think the only question is staying healthy. If he's getting this workload,
can he also keep up the same production?
Yeah, same every.
That too. Remember,
because Jalen Hurts is taking less rushing.
Philadelphia did lose Jason Kelce. That is a big piece of the O-line. That is a big reason why they're a top 5 O-line.
They're only still. It's not like it's falling off.
You still got Lane Johnson. You still got other pieces.
I think the question for Saquon is, he had this big explosive week. Can he keep it up? Can he keep it? He only got. He had that reception. That's what I mean. Like
the reception was huge.
Devonta Smith was wide open.
So okay, everybody, don't bring it in. Calm down.
So on that note, we'll go to a little meme break right now, and we'll intervene next on our next topic. All right, here we go. Ready? Most overrated or underrated in the league? All right.
Teams or players?
Teams. Of course.
Been your man of the match for today?
I think that right back's something different. I think Aaron is brilliant. He wins.
You look emotional, mate. I'm with you. Go on, let it out.
He wins that ball so much.
What I will ask you though is, can you give me one more day?
Welcome back after the commercial break. All right, now it's time for, I'm gonna name you guys a team. These will tell me if you're overrated or underrated, all right? Starting off with Zach. Zach's team.
Zach's team, underrated.
I think it is underrated.
Honestly.
Underrated.
Honestly, underrated.
Overrated.
Hey, why, Hector? Why?
Let me load him up real quick. Let's see. Let's get one thing straight. I think that definitely Dak Prescott obviously gives you good value at the quarterback. Consistently good. We'll keep it at that. He is a turnover machine, though. That's one thing.
Yeah, but
Alvin Kamara. He was suspended last year. Came back, had relatively decent games, but he has not performed to what he has usually shown us in fantasy. If Zach drafts for the name, that is a potential bust. Here, Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams, no doubt about it. Rams RB1 for the time being. However, Blake Corum is slowly catching up. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hector, he hasn't played a game. He hasn't played a snap.
Listen. I honestly hate this narrative about Kyron Williams being the punt returner. Oh, no. But Blake Corum is the kick returner.
Now we're saying a lot of underrated here. Justin Jefferson, his starting quarterback would die. Right?
And he had Nick Mullins.
He had to rely on CS.
He had Nick Mullins.
Nick Mullins is better than Sam Darnold, bro.
Listen, this week, this is what I'm going to tell you about Jackson, right? This week, Dak Prescott's going to have a bad game. They're playing against Cleveland, Denzel Ward, all those really, really good. That's a good secondary, good D-line, good defense in general. Malik Neighbors is going to explode this week. Playing against Minnesota, worst secondary, all right? In the preseason, Malik Neighbors had a 33% target share with Daniel Jones. Now, as my good friend, as Drew's good friend, Matthew Berry said on his show during the halftime show, when you get an explosive wide receiver, high target share, bad secondary, what does that equal? A big boom!
Let's get one thing straight. You do know who's throwing to Malik Neighbors, right? The 33rd ranked quarterback out of 32 possible starting quarterbacks.
He was injured.
He was injured. No. Let's talk about this one thing. Daniel Jones is the worst starting quarterback in the league. There's no doubt in my mind over it.
I didn't know Daniel Jones was Brock Purdy.
I think seriously, yeah, I think he is. I think Daniel Jones is the worst QB.
Weren't you just saying how fucking who's the Vikings quarterback right now?
Sam Darnold.
So you think Sam Darnold's better than Daniel Jones?
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
I think he's better than Will Levis. I can't lie.
Will Levis might be.
Will Levis.
Now, Dalton Kincaid, I'll give him props to that. I think that is a good pick. The Cowboys defense. When they're on, when they're playing their best defense, that's the best defense in fantasy by far. I had them last year. They can single-handedly win you fucking games by putting up damn near 20 points. Now, Keenan Allen at the flex. Are we really going to put a team that's underrated?
He is fat now.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think you get what overrated, underrated means. Overrated means you think that like people think that team is good already. Like that team's gonna be a top player. No one thinks that's gonna be a top player.
I do.
No one does. Because he has Justin Jefferson with QB, like just a narrative around Justin Jefferson with bad QB, Malik Neighbors rookie with Daniel Jones. Everyone's underestimating them. So I think they are underrated because they're both talented wide receivers. I think they can perform a good production in fantasy. So I don't think you can say overrated when no one's even rating them highly anyway.
Well, if you look based on the names,
Dak Prescott is a good QB. I hate to say it. He actually is a good QB. He has good stats. He has good touchdown percentages. Listen, man, he is a top 10 QB for sure.
Oh,
all right? So I think the only problem with this team is Alvin Kamara. I think that's the only problem, but I think he is underrated. I think he will be a dark horse team in this year.
I mean, Kamara missed 8 games last year and finishes the RB11. You know, and Kyron Williams missed how many games? 5 and finishes the RB what? 4?
Second in points per game.
Yeah, second in points per game. That's for sure.
No, that's what I said. Kyron Williams is not.
I think people are just underestimating what his players can do.
Oh, wait, hold on. Who's kicking that right now?
Jake Elliott.
Who's the next kicker?
Who's Zach's kicker? Jake Elliott.
Oh, what's he mean? How many points?
7.
He just got 10.
He's got 10, but he's underrated kicker.
What's the score?
It is. There's a flag on the play.
Oh, never mind. Take that 3 points back. We'll get back to that.
Seconds left.
But I think
Move it back 5 yards though. How
Josh Jacobs 89-yard rush right now. All
Right,
right,
fellas,
book it right
To
now.
what?
Book it right now. Take me to heaven, Josh.
Maybe next week, not this week, brother.
All right, let's go to someone on the panel. Hector, thoughts, gentlemen, on Hector's team?
Listen,
I can.
this team is so bad that I'm gonna have to give it overrated.
That team is so dog shit. No one believes in you, so I can't even put it overrated because it's so underrated.
Listen, for real though. All right, Hector's team is like, where are we? Like, if we're ranking it
Brock Purdy.
as a bottom 5 team, like a fringe playoff team, honestly, I'm gonna say it's perfectly rated because yes, he has this stack with Brock Purdy and
You're calling that a good stack.
Brandon Ayuk, right? But he's not gonna get the rushing touchdowns on a team with Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, like compare to Matt Stack with Saquon and Hurts, he is getting every single touchdown on that team. He's getting every
and
rushing,
look what he's doing
getting
to
every
it.
passing, so he's always getting points. Brock Purdy cannot run for his if his life depended on it, my boy. He is stationary.
I'll chime in on that right now.
Brandon Ayuk, a good player, but he isn't like a Justin Jefferson. He isn't a Tyreek Hill. All right, he's a good player. He's a very good,
Chase.
but he's not going to be like that top potential wide receiver for a good QB stack.
What do you have to say about this?
I'm not gonna lie, Hector. The thing that we're not gonna do is talk about the reactions about the draft. I'm not gonna lie, Hector. When I saw in my moment of consciousness when I was on the ground and I saw Brandon Ayuk going in the second round, Hector, I thought you might have went in the third round. I still think you're off. I still think you're off the team on that one. I'm not gonna lie. I'd rather have Deebo Samuel than Brandon Ayuk, just because Deebo Samuel is a better runner. Deebo Samuel. Well, yes, Deebo sucks in man coverage, which I also have Deebo on the Deebo's gonna be my best of the week. I think Deebo's gonna be my best of the week. Look, Deebo is the receivers in general. When we're going on topic. No, I'm just saying.
Come back. Bring it back. Right. Oh, we'll shit talk your team again if you want.
I'll tell you why I like Deebo Samuel, right? Most receivers, when the defenses go in zone, they do better, less fantasy point productions, right? When they go in man, they do better. Debo's the opposite. When they go man,
he cannot run. He cannot run. This man is
like he tears up zone defense and he runs. So he's a dual threat. He's almost like he's a better Jalen Reed. How they use him. You know, they use him taking snaps out of the backfield. They use him run. Come on, how the Chiefs use him.
Oh, Jaden Reed just caught like a 4-yard pass right now.
Anyway, but that's why I thought Deebo should have been off the board. Yes, he gets hurt, but Ayuk is more of the deep threat. Yeah, but it's more situational depending on the secondaries they play.
I know I'm on the panel, so technically I'm going to be as unbiased as I possibly can.
You can chime in.
I'm going to be unbiased as I possibly can. I think right now with the current state of my team, I think it's more on the names overall than the performance that they're going to have this week. I think I'm on a little bit on the overrated side. I think that, listen, everybody, we can shit on Brock Purdy all we want. He still ended as the 8th best fantasy quarterback last year. So regardless of what you guys think, he's still.
Oh, Jordan Love is hurt bad. Breaking news. Jordan Love just went down. Jordan Love is hurt bad.
No!
Jordan Reed just went. No! Mikey. Oh no, Mikey's.
Let's go!
Nah, dude.
More rushing attempts.
Oh, dude, they.
Seconds.
I'm not sure this is warming up.
That's
Malik Willis. Oh, let's see it. Fun. It might be. Is it that foot?
It's an ACL tear from the looks of it.
He completed the pass. That's all we care about.
It's a Josh Jacobs, by the way.
Can't tell much from what that replay showed. It wasn't like Nick Chubbish, but
week 1 injury, major injury.
Yeah, Green Bay quarterbacks are cursed.
It's going to be Jordan Love.
All right.
Speaking of Jordan Love,
Mikey's team.
I'm sorry. Now with this, overrated. I'm sorry.
Overrated. Bro does not have a QB.
He's limping.
He's
stepping on it. Okay.
I think he's okay. If he's walking like that, not putting on a stretcher, he might be all right.
Now the problem is if he gets the dreaded high ankle sprain. I think if he has the high ankle sprain, it might be over for Mikey. But Malik Willis stepping in,
Malik Willis, my sleeper for next week.
That's another starter. That's what's
There you go. Malik Willis.
All right, but let's talk about Mikey's team. Let's just pretend right now that Jordan Love injury isn't as serious as we think as it is. Let's just say maybe minor injury, a sprain somewhere. He was walking around.
Prayers, he's not.
He's back on the bench. He seems fine now, so he's fine. But
Anyway,
see, before, so if we're gonna go before this just happened right now, I'm gonna say Mikey's very underrated. You know, I'm kind of his little bitch boy for the past 5 years because I'm 0-5 against him in week 1, and it's looking like that it's gonna be 0-5. I mean, I was 0-4. It's looking like it's gonna be 0-5 this year.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I have to input about his team.
Yeah, I think it's underrated. You got Jordan Love at a steal with how he's playing in this game. Hopefully, he can stay healthy.
I think he is. I would say I think a slightly underrated, perfectly rated. Because when you have Christian McCaffrey on a team, I don't think you can underrate it, especially when you had the best player in all of fantasy last year, right? So I do think that the names are obviously, it is interesting to see that he has Kyle Pitts. I think that is
that's going to be
a big question. I do think now with Big Purple in Atlanta, I think there's a big upside there.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We've been saying every year there's always an upside to Kyle Pitts. It just doesn't work out.
That is true, but now there is a legitimate.
I think that does make up his team. Decide his team outcome.
Just won.
They give the ball to.
Malik Willis.
Now let's. I think Aaron
Did
Jones.
he throw an interception?
Aaron Jones.
He took a sack.
The two X factors on Mikey's team are going to be Jalen Waddle and Aaron Jones, by far. Jalen Waddle on a good day can have damn near as good as Tyreek Hill numbers. On a good day. I'm not going to say that's why it's an X factor. It's an X factor. Aaron Jones in Minnesota, new system, it's very different.
Again, injury prone.
He is injury prone.
I'm sorry, Chris Walker, but here's the thing: you got it all wrong. Mikey's X factor is his wide receiver too, Chris Godwin. Godwin goes back into the slot. Godwin gets good in the slot. When he does good, when he had TB12 in the slot, he was a top 20 wide receiver.
TB12.
Put some respect on Baker Mayfield's name.
Put some. And Baker.
Baker Mayfield was a top 15 quarterback last year.
He's not better than Tom Brady, though.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that Baker Mayfield is a competent quarterback. He's a competent quarterback, and I'm not saying that Godwin's a top 20 wide receiver, but he goes into the slot, something he's good at. He will have good numbers. It's Godwin and Waddle that are his two X factors. He's got McCaffrey. But the problem is with Mikey's team is he needs someone to pair up with McCaffrey. Can that be Pacheco? Can that be Waddle? Can Godwin? Mikey has Batman, but he's struggling to find Godwin right now.
I think Godwin could be it. Godwin had, I believe, 1,000 yards last year. His only problem was he didn't get in the end zone. He didn't get
touchdowns.
He didn't get no touchdowns. That's just bad for fantasy. I think if he finds his groove more, he gets a little bit more touchdowns, he can definitely be a top wide receiver like he was 2 years ago.
I think the great thing with Mikey's team overall is that he doesn't have to rely on one X factor to get paired up with McCaffrey. He had, like Drew said, he has multiple options still that if paired up with McCaffrey on any given week, he can beat anybody.
It's either one moves into that next step, like Pacheco, like Waddle, or they all are solid enough.
Exactly, solid enough to carry the load around. Yeah. Especially with Jordan Love, hopefully not being.
No, let's get moving on. Let's get moving on to team number 4. All right, we talked about this team a lot. We bashed this team a lot today. Ethan's team, guys. What do you guys got? Overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
I think after everything we've seen, what we've seen so far, overrated. I think
extremely.
I will say perfectly rated.
I'm gonna go to his defense.
You're gonna go to the fucking cop out.
I lied. Give me overrated.
And gentlemen, why? What do you gentlemen think that?
Because he gave me Mark Andrews on a silver plate and platter. I mean,
no. Focus team. Let me look at the situation that we're dealing with here.
Listen. Ethan traded. When Ethan made that draft day trade, I told him, why would you do that? And I told him, draft Saquon. I said, he came up to me, he's like, I think I'm going to go Saquon 1. And I told him, that's not ridiculous if you get hurt, get the Jalen Hurts stack. And look what it's doing to Hector. I mean,
look. He could have had that. He could have had that.
They finished with 49 points.
Then again, like, he said, what if I took Breece Hall? And I'm like, well, what do you want me, like, I don't know why he's saying I should have never taken your advice, because I'm not going to go over there when I had Breece Hall last year and be like,
let's
Breece Hall is a bottom 5 fringe running back.
Let's be honest here. We want to help each other out, obviously, during the draft, but we also got to look out for our own stocks. Like, you can't expect us to.
He always talks about him being so smart. So
If Breece Hall was there at 6 and Jamar Chase was there, I would have taken Breece Hall.
Listen, I have been critical.
Sure you would.
I have been critical of Eagles'
more.
movements in the
Listen.
past. I'm going to be critical again. I think his team is very overrated. I think that overall, for a man who hasn't been in playoff contention, let alone championship contention.
No, he finished 2021.
let's just talk about his team, Hector. Let's talk about his team. Lamar Jackson, I think you can't go wrong with Lamar Jackson. Devon A-Chain, very boomer bust here. We do not know how that
Dolphins injury pro too. That's another thing.
We don't know how that Dolphins running back, back room is going to look like. We don't know he's going to pop off, who's going to be it. So I think he has the potential though. A-Chain definitely has potential. Just how they utilize him. Rashad White.
No. A-Chain is the ultimate lottery ticket.
He is ultimate.
You got to look at it like this.
Not in the second round.
No. He is.
No.
See the production when he puts off with limited touches. That efficiency is crazy. The problem is he has to keep up that efficiency. He's dropping 50, 30-point games left and right. He's a receiving back. He's a running back. He's
got
dual
the
threat.
speed, bro.
He's a dual threat, and he can blow by us. He's the ultimate fantasy lottery ticket. The problem is the lottery is really hard to hit on it. It is extremely hard. If he hits though, he's arguably one of the best players. If his efficiency would, there's no way his efficiency can keep it up. But if it would, he would outpace him.
Hey, league winner right there.
He's the ultimate lottery ticket. He's got to be second.
Let's be real here. Rashad White.
I hate him as an RB. I do not. I just don't like him.
Third round, I thought was
third round is kind of crazy. He's very inefficient with the amount of touches he gets. It's insane.
And they had no one competing in the backfield.
He just had Rashad White. Bucky Irvin.
No, let's be real. I don't think it'll kill Rashad, but it'll eat his workload.
Definitely
better than Chase Edmonds ever did.
AJ Brown is AJ Brown. I don't think there's much discussion there. Watson. Now, like we were saying earlier, we have to see how he does with the touchdowns. Again, Green Bay doesn't have a definitive wide receiver one like many other teams in the league do. I think that is something to be very aware of as the season goes on. I do think that Tank Dell is in a very good situation. He has one of the best upcoming quarterbacks in the league, if not already a top 10 quarterback, which I do think that CJ Stroud.
I do. I like Tank Dell. I just I believe everyone can eat in that offense. It's just that do I want the wide receiver 3 in that offense? It's just somewhat it's about there.
I'm not gonna lie though, I might want a piece of that pie. I can't lie. I think I need a piece.
How much you go get Joe Mixon?
I think.
Sorry.
Bro, I need a piece of that pie. Though.
I wouldn't hate to have a piece of that pie. I definitely wouldn't.
It's like Eagles. It's like the Eagles, the Chiefs. Then you want a piece of that pie.
Everyone's gonna eat,
especially in Houston because they just throw
that ball.
So everyone.
I think it's definitely gonna eat.
They're a good scoring.
And I where you get take down the draft for the late 7th, 5th.
Chicago.
That's not bad, but
Chicago defense is.
Well, I mean, right now Ethan has 3 defenses on his roster.
Yeah, that's definitely.
He has the Bears, he has the Jets, and he has the Ravens.
He said he's gonna stifle them like Monica was stifling black guys, bro. In and out.
That's insane, man. That's insane. I think overall, Ethan's team is. We can all agree that it is pretty good.
I think Ethan's team it went faster because did anyone have this team top 5 on their radar going into this? Did anyone this team thought that this would be more than fighting for that 6-7 spot with 8-9? So I think if no one had any expectations, this would be a top 5 team. And after this Mark Andrews trade, we might have to start talking about is it to the bottom of the hill?
At the end of the season, we might look back at this trade and see how much Ethan got fleeced. He might.
Potentially be one of the worst.
And if he wants to talk about how bad he did, Brock Bowers is him.
It could also be one trade where both teams lost.
It was just no winning.
Both differences just fucking negative in the red, bro.
But anyway, last team, he couldn't make it here today, so he can't defend his honor, his pride, his manhood. What do you guys think about Dom's team? Overrated or underrated?
Listen, Dom complained about having the 9th pick and made us give him the 3rd pick. And he goes over here and pulls off this bullshit with 0 RB when he could have had Garrett Wilson and possibly AJ Brown, right?
He could have had Saquon Barkley.
He could have had Saquon. He could have had it didn't even have to be 0 RB. But he comes in with 0 RB and he goes CeeDee Lamb. He goes Mike Evans. He goes Laporte.
No, Oh,
And he got Laporta fourth. He went.
That is a good round.
That was a good battle.
But his wide receiver room, amazing. I'm not gonna lie. His running back room, however, Brian Robinson starting at the 2, right? And then on the bench, nobody. We got Nick Chubb, who might not even.
His only good one is Isaiah Likely that Drew told him to pick up. I mean, serious. Dom always claims how he's this fantasy god. He knows a lot. When Drew is picking up his blessed players, what is this?
Likely should have been on my team.
That should be on you.
Listen, I'm gonna say it one more time. As another year goes on, it's the same shit. Dom is basically the Dallas Cowboys. Good offense, good outpours of scoring, week in and week out. When it comes playoff time, this team never performs. His teams never perform. And this year, even in the regular season, it's even worse than previous teams in the past. Yes, we are talking about an elite wide receiver room because there's nothing short of this receiving room being short of elite. That is an elite wide receiver room.
It is.
Might be one of the best in the league. But
Okay, I exist, but you know.
Me too. I think the problem is with Dom's team is Dom's wide receivers are elite, but they all came at a price. They came at a very expensive price. Those were his first 3
The
picks.
CD drafted as a wide receiver 1.
That's not. Can't hate that.
we do need to talk about another from the room. He's saying that Anthony Richardson is QB1.
I think that's where he's going a little crazy. I think he's going a little crazy.
Anthony Richardson looked really bad in preseason. And like I said earlier about Malik Neighbors and Zach's team, this Vikings secondary is probably the worst. One of the worst in the league. One of the worst in the league. They just got rid of Lewis Sign, who was their only bright spot in my opinion, even though they cut him, right? So if Malik Neighbors does explode in this game, which I think he will, we are likely to see this Vikings defense that's projected 8 points to have I think they're going to have 2 or 1. I think personally.
It could be that bad.
You know.
I do.
But then again, like you guys said, there's Daniel Jones at the helm, and he might throw a couple picks, fumbles here and there.
You know, that might be a saving grace, right?
But I mean, like you have this elite offense with Malik Neighbors, and
We do need to talk about this.
every masterpiece has his own cheap copy. We have Devin Singletary version.
We got 2 things we can talk about here. David Montgomery. While he was a touchdown vulture at the beginning of the season, I think with the injury going back and everything, I think that Jameer Gibbs is very easily to say that they're going to ramp up his production more as the season goes on. Now, let's not also forget, yes, I'm looking at this roster. I do see that he has the Goff Laporta stack if Anthony Richardson fails.
Don't forget you got Montgomery too.
That is true. He might have a
Yeah, but then he has too many. Actually, that Lions offense can eat.
Yes, but this is also another thing. We're also talking about a Lions offense that, while it is one of the best in the league, I do think that, yes, Laporta is going to be a good tight end. I do. This is one of my bold things. I don't think he's going to be as good as he was last year. I think that he's actually going to have like a sophomore slump, as we talked about, because the Lions wide receiver core technically got better with the addition of Jameson Williams back, who technically was a big deep threat last year. He actually was the first person to score in the NFC Championship game. He scored 2 touchdowns in the NFC Championship game. I think they're building off of that. I think the wide receiver core.
I don't have the same opinion. I think Laporta is going to be fine. I think he's going to be top 5.
One last thing about if I don't know when this episode is going to come out, when our first episode is going to come out, but because it is Friday and the games are in 2 days. But if I'm Dom and I'm thinking and I really want to be a fantasy guru, I would start Jared Goff over Anthony Richardson this game because I really think that this game
You're cooking that pot. You're cooking that
is going to have
pot.
at least 70 points combined. This is going to be a shootout. You have Matthew Stafford and
I think
Jared
it's going to be a
Goff
shootout.
playing
It's going to be a
their
full
own
stadium.
teams.
The energy's going to be high.
I don't hate that.
I don't hate that. You put in a solid QB. You know Jared Goff, what he can bring with that line. And you have a stack playing, and you can take a week, see how Anthony Richardson playing. You don't have to worry about it right now.
Here's what I'm saying, right? If you're going to start Goff, why draft with Richardson? Why spend all that?
Because he has that thought of him being QB1 potential.
Why spend all that draft asset? He could use that on a running back.
Let's not forget Anthony Anthony Richardson is also in the same division as the Texans, and we are projecting the Texans defense to be one of the best defenses this year.
So that's 2
So that's also 2 games already where you're going to see, okay, Richardson might not have the best performance,
and they play him on Sunday.
That's their first game. So I think it's a very difficult situation for Dom, where if he really wants to stick on that train of Anthony Richardson being QB1, he can't back it down. He can't just switch Goff and be like, oh, well, it was a matchup thing. No, like if he's going to stick with it, then he has to stick with it. That's the one thing that we got to talk about too. It's a very difficult decision for him to make too. So I don't know. I think Dom's team is a very overrated set.
Yeah, final results. Yeah, overrated. QB's big question mark. Anthony Richards definitely has a boom, but he also has the same bust affiliated with him. RB's trash. Let's be honest. Trash. I don't hate Montgomery, but if those are is that your RB1 and your RB2 Robinson? No, not Bijan. Ryan. Sorry. Ryan Robinson. It's not looking good for you. There's only saving grace is by receivers. That's all I'm saying.
Is it crazy to say that this is the worst running back in the league?
I don't think it's
I don't think it's ridiculous. I don't think it's ridiculous. At least I have James Cook.
As of right now.
As of right now.
I think he doesn't have a running back.
And you know what I hate? He just didn't draft running backs after. What the fuck? Shut up. Yeah. I'm done talking about that team.
Let's go on.
Let's go to our last commercial break.
That's my last commercial break. When we get back, everyone will share their last thoughts.
Boom or bust.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for our final segment before we say goodbye on the first ever episode of Inside the Harvest. The team has all collectively together. We're going to have the bust or boom report of the week for week one. Starting on the end of the table, Hector.
All right, guys. It's pretty simple. It's pretty obvious. I already stated it with Dominic's team earlier. I think that it's very obvious that Anthony Richardson is my best player of the week. It's very simple, very easy. Houston's defense only got better. We had the reigning defensive rookie of the year, Will Anderson, already on that D-line. They did get better. They got a better middle linebacker core. Overall with the corners, the safeties, everything just looks better. And another year under DeMeco Ryans. Let's not forget, DeMeco Ryans was San Francisco's defensive coordinator, who had the best defensive stats in the league while he was the defensive coordinator. I think that's going to travel over to Houston. I personally think that is just, it's not a good sign for Anthony Richardson at all.
Everyone knows my bust. I said Deebo Samuel. I already gave my reasoning in the receiving department, but I'm going to add one towards it. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game, tight defensively. I think the Niners are going to have to lean on more of the rushing side of Christian McCaffrey to bullet over. So I have guys like Deebo Samuel struggling, but like I said in man coverage, George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk eat in man coverage. I think they're going to be lend on more. Deebo's going to be locked up this week.
Strapped, brother.
Absolutely. Everyone, what's your report on it?
I think Drake London is going to bust this week. Listen, I got a reasoning. I'm not saying Drake London's going to be, bad, but I think there's just so many moving pieces in this offense. You got a new QB, you got a new offensive coordinator, I believe, no new head coach, all that. There's just everything's new. All right, so it might take a couple weeks, to mesh together. And then again, they're against Steelers. That's a good defense, man. You got good defense players over there. So I think with all that factoring in, there's just too much going on. Strong against defense, against a strong defense, you're just gonna bust.
That's another positive note, Dylan. I believe you had the only boom player this week, Dylan.
I do have the only boom player of the week. So I know I said Malik Neighbors earlier, but I'm gonna go with something different because I already said how much I love Malik Neighbors already. My boom player is going to be Zach Moss for the big boom, right? But listen, right? So the Bengals are going into this game against the Patriots, right? New offensive coordinator. But with T. Higgins, probably he's doubtful, so he's going to miss. And then you have Jamar Chase, who just had an interview today, and he said that more than likely he will play, but he is going to be limited. With that being said, Patriots fucking suck, okay? So I personally think it's going to be Zach Moss because Zach Moss is going to be the lead RB, at least for the first couple of weeks until Chase Brown, explodes. But yeah, I personally think Zach Moss at least 18 points this week. That's my bold prediction of the week.
I guess
that's a bold prediction I ended on.
That is a bold prediction indeed. We will be back next week to see who was right, and we'll also cover the games following up from last week. But for everyone inside the Harvest headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, I just want to say, I'm about to go get some Galaxy Gas.